Jesus explains, every soul is a primordial spirit, either a fallen spirit or a spirit of light. October 1st, 1961, message 8008, from Jesus through Bertha Dudde, spoken by Pascal. And you shall heed my voice when it resounds within you, for my spirit will guide you into all truth. If you wish to be instructed in the truth, then you may receive it only from myself, I, who am the eternal truth. When I brought forth the beings of my love from myself, every being was a self-aware spirit who stood in the closest union with me and was continually radiant with my love. This radiance of love placed the being in a state of the brightest knowledge. It stood in the light. It recognized me and everything that surrounded it. Every being was a godlike spirit that was immeasurably blissful, and yet, for reasons that have already been explained to you many times over, a falling away of countless beings from me took place, while many others remained with me. The former lost their light, while the latter remained in immeasurable abundance of light, and did not follow my adversary, the primordial spirit who fell first into the depths. And with these primordial spirits who remained with me, I create and work throughout infinity. But you humans know that I have set myself the goal of the deification of all created beings, and that this deification must be carried out by the free will of the being itself. You know why the beings once fell, and you have also been made aware of my eternal plan of salvation, which aims towards the restoration of all fallen spiritual beings, a goal that will certainly be achieved one day. You know that the childship of God is the highest goal, and that all the spirits who walk this earth as human beings can, according to the plan of eternity, attain the childship of God, provided their free will earnestly strives for it. Thus, the being who once fell away from me has attained the highest degree of bliss. It has transformed into an image of myself. It can create and act in complete free will, and yet this will shall be entirely like mine. It is no longer determined by me, yet my child has fully entered into my will, and has become immeasurably blissful. This supreme degree of bliss is also what my spiritual beings who remain with me strive for. For although they are in direct communion with me, and although they are constantly bathed in my power of love, they are nevertheless beings created according to my will, who cannot think or act other than in accordance with my will, and who, as it were, are always merely the executors of my will. To make this distinction clear to you humans already requires a high degree of maturity that you do not yet possess, and I can therefore only explain it to you in accordance with your limited thinking, in a way that your mind may grasp, because this deep understanding of all the interrelationships in the spiritual realm is precisely what you lost through your fall into the depths, and you have not yet attained true understanding here on earth. Nevertheless, it is enough for you to know that even these beings who have remained with me will one day walk the path on earth in order to attain the childship of God, which will increase their bliss immeasurably. And this path on earth thus requires a life in the flesh, an existence as a human being, just as the once fallen spiritual must also undergo in order to pass its test of will. Thus, a spirit of light that wishes to incarnate on earth will also choose an earthly body as its dwelling, whose spiritual substances have already reached a certain degree of maturity, so that a spirit of light may now take possession of it, giving life to the lifeless outer form, the human body, and thereby begin its earthly journey in this body. This spirit of light, then, is the spiritual power that must flow into a human body, which is now born into the world as a human being, and can only live once this spiritual power, the soul, the divine breath, is breathed into this outer form by my all-encompassing fatherly love, which has set as its goal the deification of all its created beings as children. This angelic spirit now animates the human being as a soul, and since the substances of the body, though purer than those of most people, are themselves still immature, since they are also exposed to the influences of my adversary in his world, and since the angelic spirit also has a spiritual task to fulfill on earth, and is usually unaware of its origin, the soul must therefore, its own I, resist all temptations that approach it from without. It must struggle against all the instincts that still cling to the body, because it has passed through all the works of creation, and it must, for the most part, traverse an exceedingly difficult earthly path, where its free will must not falter, where it must repeatedly take refuge in me as its father, so as not to lose the strength it needs on earth. For it voluntarily relinquished the fullness of light and power as an angelic spirit, when it embarked on its journey across the earth. But the bond with me is strong, for an unusually fervent love floods such an individual, which is also the surest guarantee that it will reach its goal on earth, that it will return to me as my child, because this had been its greatest desire back in my kingdom. This process, therefore, will be the same for every spirit of light. As a soul, it always assumes an earthly, material outer form, which will exert greater or lesser influence through its varied nature, and will present the soul with many tasks, for this outer form will always have passed through earthly matter, unless unusual influences have already purified its substances to such an extent that they very soon align with the demands of my divine spiritual spark, shining particularly brightly in the beings of light incarnated as humans, who may bring about the complete spiritualization of all substances more rapidly. And so the soul of Jesus, too, was a supreme spirit of light. He, too, took on an earthly, material outer form. He, too, gave life to this form only when, as a soul, he took possession of the outer shell, when he was born on earth. The vessel that brought him into the world was pure and spotless. His conception was not a base act of the senses, yet his body was like that of all human beings, because he was to accomplish the work of spiritualization as an example that all people should and could follow. And his soul too, though from above, was beset by immature elements, which he was not permitted to shake off, but was likewise to spiritualize through the power of his love, which required great work upon himself. And such work must also be performed by every angelic spirit in earthly life, because the journey through the depths also meant a struggle, and the overcoming of all that belongs to the depths, and rages within those human beings. But their great love performs this work with perseverance and patience, and they usually succeed in spiritualizing both body and soul, that is, in redeeming even the still unspiritual substances accompanying the soul, bringing them into the fullest order within themselves, and at the same time fulfilling a great mission for which they have voluntarily offered themselves to me.
Everything of a spiritual nature that once emanated from me
all spiritual beings that arose from my love, is radiated power. In their primordial element, they are the same as I am. They are the power of love emanating from me. The fallen spiritual, however, was dissolved into countless particles for the purpose of its return to me. The power that was once radiated was transformed into creations of every kind, for the power had to become active in some way, because this had been the primordial law since eternity. But all these dissolved particles gathered together once again, and every once fallen primordial spirit regains self-consciousness as soon as it walks the earth as a human being, as soon as it covers the final stretch in the endlessly long process of development, before it re-enters the spiritual realm. The spiritual substance thus gathered animates the outer form of a human being as a soul. The soul itself, then, is the once fallen primordial spirit. It is the self-conscious being that once emanated from me in all the fullness of light and fell away of its own volition, which my adversary, the first spirit of light to fall, dragged down into the depths. The host of primal spirits was endless, and the number of beings who remained with me was also immeasurably great. Yet even these were, at their very core, the same: the power of love radiating from me. If, then, a spirit of light, an angelic being, also undertakes a journey through the earth for the purpose of attaining the childship of God, it enters into the same relationship as any fallen spirit. It takes on a physical body composed of spiritual particles that are more or less mature, for the flesh belongs to this earth. The body may well be pure and contain less that opposes me, but it is always earthly and material, which indeed makes the earthly journey a severe test or trial of the will for the soul dwelling within the physical body. For there must be resistance. Even a soul of light must endure struggles in the flesh, which my adversary will repeatedly present to it, using the outer shell to attack the soul in many different ways. And so, even a soul of light will therefore be exposed to strong temptations, because the earthly body is situated in the realm of my adversary, and he will particularly press upon a soul of light in an extraordinary manner in order to bring it down as well, something he failed to achieve in the past. Yet the unusually strong will to love of such a soul also ensures a constant supply of strength from above, for it does not relinquish its bond with me. It is mightily drawn to me, and this longing for love is a powerful weapon in the battle against the adversary, from which it will emerge victorious. But you must not believe that a spirit of light, a spirit that has not fallen, joins another fallen spirit to walk the path on earth. Every soul is a primordial spirit, whether fallen or not. The fallen primordial spirit, having been dissolved into countless substances, retraces the path of development before it is permitted to incarnate as a human being. That is, before it, as a soul, takes on a human outer form. The spirit that has never fallen does not need to be dissolved, but rather, as a soul, it takes on a human form from above, just as those beings of light who have attained a high degree of light in the realm beyond, and wish to undertake another earthly journey for the purpose of a mission, with the goal of attaining the childship of God. Such souls, therefore, incarnate directly into the flesh. The power once radiated by me flows into the human outer form as the breath of life, and it gives this form life. Always remember, you human beings, that everything ever created is the power of love radiating from me, which, through my will, became self-aware beings that can never again perish. But I can also transform this power. I can dissolve these beings and bring forth other creations, if I pursue a purpose grounded in my love and wisdom. But I can also clothe such a self-aware being in the form of a human being, if my love and wisdom see a purpose in doing so. Every soul that is to be regarded as the true life of a human being is a primordial spirit, to whom my endless love grants the opportunity to attain divine childship upon the earth, a state that every being created by me must strive for and attain. Amen.